Hey folks, it's Aspen, your host for Forestry Talks, a podcast that explores all things forestry in Alberta, and we are continuing our celebration for the Mackenzie region's designation of the Forest Capital of Canada this year. I am so thrilled to be joined by Terry Jessiman, the Forest Area Manager for High Level. Terry, thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome, and thanks for having me here today.
Yeah, so Forest Area Manager, that has to be a lot of things. What does that mean?
Well, as you can see today, I'm wearing yellow and green, and part of my responsibility is I oversee forest operations for a good part of the year, and then the other part, I'm involved with wildfire management. So in our area, we have a number of staff that respond to wildfires, and we have provincially teams that come out to aid in the suppression of wildfires. So I oversee that as part of my responsibility for the area.
Yeah. And, fire is starting to become one of those things that's very synonymous almost with Northern Alberta. We've had a number of really challenging wildfire years lately, which I imagine is, increased demand for you and your team. Can you tell me about what you've seen this year and the last couple of years?
Sure. Aspen, the last number of years has been difficult up here. We've had a lot of large fires last year in particular, which become a challenge for communities, for the industry that is in the area, particularly the forest industry. And as part of our responsibility, we're there to protect the valuable timber that is in place for the forest companies. And so we're very aware of that. And so last year, yes, we lost nearly 2 million hectares of area in the high-level forest area. And that becomes a challenge for the forest companies, and we're aware of that. And this year here, we have a number of wildfires on the go in the area at this time. So it's important to us that we are able to communicate clearly with the forest companies and ensure that they are getting the appropriate information so that they can adjust and for their planning schedules and stuff like that. And that we are aware of anything that they may need.
So what's really the driving cause behind we're seeing so many more fires up here lately? What are some of the factors?
So for a number of years we've had very little rain, and so that creates high drought conditions in our area. And so for the last 3 years we've seen those conditions where throughout the summer we've received very little rain. And then in the winter, we've received very little snow. So that takes us into the spring with high drought conditions and then puts us in these conditions where fires are easily ignited and they can spread very easily.
Yeah. And last year was, a significant, challenging wildfire season for the entire province. Certainly, maybe lots of lessons learned from that experience. Can you speak about how we might have maybe changed or adopted anything or what we learned from last year that we can apply to the fire situation this year?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And so, yes, last year was a big turning point for us, and our government has looked into some of the challenges that we went through last year, and there's been a number of changes in how we look at fire and manage fire this year. We received a number of new positions for our organization, specialized equipment like nighttime viz helicopters. We received additional air tankers to aid in that quick response when we have new starts. So overall, there was a number of new programs implemented. Another one was the ability to allow local people to be involved in our operations. If they desire to be a part of what we do or take part in some of our operations, they can sign up and come on and receive some training and help us out. So that's been a big thing as well.
Yeah, that's huge. I know especially within our industry, we've seen a lot of people sending, Dozer bosses to help out with the fires or, a number of different professionals to help out. What kind of success are you seeing with that program and some of the other new ones?
That's a really good point as well. This past year, we really increased the training that we put on over the past years. And one of them was the Dozer boss course that we put on. And the forest industry really has stepped up in the last few years, helping us out in that area. And this past year, we were able to get a number of their employees through the training. And currently, we have a lot of them out on the fire line, being mentored by certified Dozer boss people, and then they go on to become certified and can operate on their own. So that's been huge. We also are in communication with the forest industry on a regular basis, and they're offering up their staff to help out in other areas, like in our camps, in our warehouses, to help where we may have some shortages. So that's been really good.
Well, and especially important when it comes to even just offering your team some relief, right? Because it becomes a 24-hour battle, and people need to take some time off and recoup. And so it's so important to have that backfill come in.
For sure. And it's really good for our staff that, yes, they work multiple shifts in a row, and they'll get a few days off and they're back into it. And there's a lot of stress and that comes with that. And so with our partners, with the forest industry, they've been very gracious, stepping up and supporting us in that area. And it makes a difference for our staff who work with the forest industry throughout the year, knowing that they're there to help us and support us. So that's been really good over the last number of years. And that support has really increased in the last number of years.
And you mentioned earlier the nighttime helicopters that are operating. I can't recall what the exact name is for them.
Night Viz, yeah.
Night Viz helicopters. And I remember reading last year about some of the fires and just how much they moved from like overnight to the next day. Tell me a little bit more about that program and how that's helping with the fire situation.
Yes, that's been a really good addition to our organization. And so it allows us to do a number of things. And first of all, we have nighttime operations on the ground on certain fires. So that may be Dozer boss, heavy equipment operators, and we may have firefighters on the ground as well. So that nighttime Viz machine, which is a rotary machine, can oversee our crews and help to keep them safe. They know where the fire is, and they can report back to the people on the ground. They are also able to do an assessment of the overall fire through the night, and then first thing in the morning, our operations, when we start up, have a really good, clear picture of what the fire is doing, where it's at. And thirdly, the machines can also do firefighting services. They have a bucket with them when they're flying throughout the night, and they're able to drop water on areas of concern in and around communities. If there's a potential for a loss of homes or crossing the highway, they can help drop water on them and reduce that intensity on the fire.
And Terry, you talked about how communities can get involved with some of the wildfire support efforts. How can people get involved with that?
Well, we have one program. It's the reservist program, and people are able to put their names forward to the areas. They can call out, and we have a number. I don't have that number right off the top of my head at this time, but they can call in and put their name on a list. Then they take some training. We have a program that we go through. I think it's 1 to 2 hours long, and then they can go out into certain roles. There have been people in the province that have want to go out on the fire line. There's a little more work that's required for that, and they are restricted because of the safety concerns of public members being on the fire line.
What has the uptake of these programs been like?
Well, in the area here, we had a number of people apply, and I think currently we have 3 people in the area that are from different communities, and they're currently working for us and doing a great job in some of our operations. So that's been good.
That's so huge to see. I talk to people all the time because I always get questions about what's happening with the fires in the province. How is this impacting the industry? And we talk about how, of course, this resource is our livelihood in many ways, but also that it's really so much more personal for forestry communities because this is our backyard, right?
Yes.
These are the folks that are living right next to the forests that are at risk and at threat. And so it's not surprising to me to hear that there is so much uptake from the community and from the sector to be able to support that kind of stuff because it really is personal.
Yes, and especially for me, I've been here now for 10 years, and my family has grown up here. I have a younger family, and that's how everybody is in this area. They become a part of the community, and they're well in tune with the forest industry. Local forest industry here in High Level employs a lot of people throughout the year, and there's spin-off jobs as well, whether you're truck drivers, heavy equipment operators. So in one way or the other, the forest industry touches everybody that's up in this area.
Yeah.
So
huge forestry workforce up here. One of the bigger parts of the province for, I think, the forestry contractor base, if not the biggest, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
So one of our local forest companies, Toco Forest Industries, it's one of their biggest mills in Alberta. And we have a very state-of-the-art mill there. And yes, they employ a lot of people. We're unique up in this area in that we have a very short harvesting season because of our wet conditions that are in and about. So they're kind of restricted to winter harvesting. So I'm always amazed at how fast things get done and all the moving pieces to ensure that they get their yearly supply of wood in. It's pretty impressive to see the local contractors and how well organized they are and the great work that they do out there.
And so this probably comes into the other part of your role, which is not during fire season and more of the operations stuff. Can you talk a little bit more about what that work looks like for you?
Yeah, for sure. And so, like I said earlier, I have, two main departments, wildfire and timber operations. And so we have staff that are also within the timber operations side of things. Here in High Level, I'm very fortunate that our wildfire staff, they also do timber operations in the winter as well. So because of the remoteness up here, we have to have everybody helping out and again, the sheer volume and the short season. So, but within our timber side of things, we have foresters that, receive the plans for the forest company. We have our field staff that are out working with the forest company supervisors to ensure that they're following the proper rules, the operating ground rules, and doing what they're required to do. And so I'm really proud of the relationship that we built over the number of years here with the industry and our staff. They do ride-alongs. They do in-person meetings before they go to the field and stuff like that. So it's been great here.
Well, that is so great to hear, Terry. And you make some good points about just really how much goes into the planning process and the operations and all that kind of stuff. I find that's one of the things that folks are the most surprised to hear about is just how complex the whole process is. What kind of things do you look for, or what kind of things are just integral to planning for management out here?
Again, a really good question. I always marvel at the sheer volume of work that's required to ensure that the company gets their wood in the time allotted, and that they do it in an environmentally friendly way. And so there's everything from the consultation process with the forest industry overseas, and we review it and ensure that they're following the proper processes. Then they do their access plans up for where they're going for that winter, and it's the complexity of the seasons that we get up here, and putting their roads in the wintertime because of the remote country that they go into, a lot of wet area, and that's all required to have plans in place for it. And our staff in our area receive those plans. We review them, and then we provide feedback and where they may have to make changes or improvements, or add suggestions on how to improve things for whether it's wood flow or access into areas.
And what does the reclamation look like for those?
Reclamation, again, it's part of their overall requirements. So at the end of the year, again, that window is very small and short. The first tree that falls on the ground, they're already starting to plan for the reclamation. And as they pull out of a block or pull out of an area that they've harvested, their reclamation team is going in there and pulling back the roads to ensure that there's no erosion issues, pulling out any crossing in creeks to ensure that there's free flow of water come the springtime and the summer. So again, it's a big process, and we have to be right there alongside with them to ensure that we're overseeing that part of their operations, and that they're doing it right, and adding any assistance that we can as far as suggestions or review of their plans.
Yeah. It's interesting, Terry, we've had a few folks on the show this week remark on just the very unique small operating window that we've got up here. It definitely is a common topic that folks are bringing up. And it seems like quite the hustle, but also that the community really comes together to make sure that it can all get done, and it's kind of all hands on deck. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's great. It is a community effort, and the forest companies rely on the resources that are out there in the smaller companies, whether it's a trucking company or a harvesting company. And it's amazing to see them all work together. And when, there may be a challenge in an area where they may be running out of time, other contractors will come alongside them and support them with trucks or support them with harvesting equipment or people. And we're always there as well to aid in quick turnarounds with reviews. If, there's that sensitivity around time, to get them in, we're reviewing them in a timely manner and getting back to them. And again, part of that relationship that we've developed over the last number of years, and they appreciate it, and our staff appreciate it, that, they're producing really good documents and plans, and it makes our job easier.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Terry, with your experience working in this role for a number of years now, I'm curious if you can share with me a little bit about how Alberta compares to some of the other provinces in the country or even around the world in terms of sustainable forest management and wildfire response.
Yes. I've always said I'm proud of our area here. I'm proud of our province. And over the years, I've heard a number of stories from both sides, whether it's wildfire or the timber side of things. And so I know here in Alberta, we have companies that have businesses in other provinces, and they make it very clear, or they mention that it's very easy to work with the government here. We have a system in place that makes it easy for them to do their planning, to get their resources into the mill. And we have a very strong monitoring program here in Alberta to ensure that the companies and their processes and their operations are doing it in a proper manner, and ensuring that we have a very healthy environment. Wildfire, I've been involved with it for a number of years, and I'm very proud of what we do here in Alberta. And some of the systems that we have in place, they don't have in too many places. We have organizations that come from all over the world. We have people that come from South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, Costa Rica, and they make comments, on our facilities that we have, how nice they are, how well they are, the equipment that we have. So, again, the government provides us as the ground people doing the work. They provide us with all the right tools, and they give us great facilities. So it makes my job easier, and I'm proud to be a part of both wildfire and timber operation side of things. So,
Terry, I want to switch gears a little bit here, because a big part of this Forest Capital of Canada designation, of course, we've got a huge forest industry up here, but it's also about connectivity to the forest. Can you tell me a little bit about your relationship to the forest?
Yes, the forest has been a big part of my life. I mentioned earlier of our younger kids that grew up being in the forest and having friends that were part of the forest, whether it was junior forest wardens, and partaking with that group. It's always been pretty special for our family, and I know up here in our area, it's important to a lot of families. And some families may not have that opportunity to get up close, and so having the designation for Forestry Capital of Canada is important for our area, so that families that may not have that opportunity to get up close and be out in nature can partake in some of the events that we're having. So, like I say, there's nothing any better than getting younger kids out into the forest and seeing nature, whether it's wildlife, bigger animals like moose and deer. Bears, I know when people come up here, they marvel at our bears that we have in the area, but we're used to it. But it's pretty neat for families and younger people to get out and see what we do and see what's out in nature, because it's pretty special.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm so excited that you brought up the Junior Forest Wardens program, because I know that, as well as the Junior Forest Rangers program, are huge programs out here, and programs that I wish I knew about when I was a younger person, because I would have loved to partake in those. But Alberta Wildfire has a connection to, for sure, the Junior Forest Rangers, not both. Can you tell me about that?
So actually, we have a crew in our area at this time. So we have 8 teams across the province that are sent out. We have 10 forest areas in the province. So there's 8 of them that receive a crew every year. And they get to be very up close with younger people with the forest industry, and they link in with the forest industry. They develop a schedule, and they are partaking in trail development. They get to go out on the fire line on a controlled fire and do some work there. They get to do mill tours. So they, it tweaks their interest in forestry, and it gives them that hands-on ability to see what it's all about. And we have a lot of people within our organization, whether it's the forest industry or government, that have started their careers out with the Junior Forest Rangers. So it's a pretty special program. Yeah,
I believe it. A fantastic program. And I so wish that I had an opportunity to take advantage of that when I was younger. So Terry, we've talked a little bit about how this is a really special region. What is one thing that you wish people that don't know anything about the Mackenzie region, what is one thing you wish that they knew about it up here?
The vastness. When people come up to the area, there's so many really special and neat places up here. It is remote and it's very rugged, but as we were talking earlier, up to the north, we have our border with the Northwest Territories, and there's some pretty amazing things up there with the waterfalls. But here in the region, we have amazing rivers with lots of great fishing in. Again, it's really rugged. It's hard to get at, but when the fishing is very special. Great fishing, but you have to work at it. It's the remoteness, and you can go out in the forest here and spend the day in the forest and never see somebody. So that's pretty special. You have a lot of area to do adventure in and see a lot of really neat things.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And so thrilled that the Mackenzie region has the designation of Forest Capital of Canada. This is the first time it's been in Western Canada in a number of years now. What makes you so proud to have this designation?
I'm proud of the people that work up here and live up here. We all work together because of the remoteness and the distance that we have from some of the bigger centers. And all our families, like I said earlier, in one way or the other, are touched by forest industry or work in it. Mm-hmm. And so, I consider it a great big family, and we're always there to support one another. But it's also to showcase what we do up here. Like I said earlier, I've been in the forest industry my whole career, involved in one way or another. And I'm very proud of our organization's environmental standards that they have. We have a renewable resource there that's pretty special, that when we cut it down, it regrows, and we're producing very healthy forests. We manage the forest when we see changing forests, whether it's forest health and we start to see the decline in the forest. Mm-hmm. We're out there, we're looking at it, and we're managing it appropriately. And the forest companies have always been great to step up and come alongside us to help with that. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, Terry, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Aspen. And it was nice to be here.
Awesome. Thanks for joining me for another episode of Forestry Talks, a podcast that explores all things forestry in Alberta. If you're curious to learn more, check out our website, albertaforestproducts.ca or loveabforest.ca. I'm your host, Aspen, and I'll see you next time.
This series is proudly produced by the team at Road 55. Road 55 creates content that connects. For more information, visit our website at road55.ca.